Hello and welcome to The Word Now. This is Pastor Mark Goody. We're going to start session number 6, and I hope you're enjoying our content so far. Don't forget, if you have questions or comments, you can always email me at the email address at the end of our broadcast today. Okay, today I want to continue on in the overall theme of theology. I want to ask this question, and this is a big question, really. The question is this: is Jesus Christ unique? We could paraphrase that. We could say, is Jesus Christ different than others? And before we answer that question, which may take this session and possibly the next, I would like to also ask this: is it important? I mean, is it important? Is such a question really that relevant? And I would say this to you, that this question, beyond all others, is maybe the most important question. And these are the reasons why. Number one, we're in a prevailing ethos of the end times, which say that, they're all the same. Every religious leader and every leader of the major religions, in the end, they're all the same. It doesn't matter. Well, that's a great lie and a great deception, so we need to answer that. The second thing is, if Jesus Christ isn't different than you and I or any man, then he can't help us in any way. He cannot provide for me what I can't provide for myself. In other words, he's not able to save me. He's not able to show me the reality of God the Father. So this brings us to the fact that this question, is Jesus Christ unique? Is Jesus Christ different than other religious leaders? Is a very important question. All right, so let me go to this. Before we go into the answer to this question, I need to go back to the principle that underlines so much of what we are teaching. And maybe beyond all others, this is maybe one of the most important principles. And it's concerning these important words. Now listen to me. Credibility, authenticity. Credibility, authenticity. In other words, we are following a leader. Maybe we're following this religious leader. We need to know that he is authentic, that he has credentials, and that he has qualifications which give him the position to be able to show me something which I couldn't know myself, which is the way to God. The religious leader shows me the way to God. And I would say this: if we follow somebody that does not have credentials, that is incredible and unqualified, then at best we are in error and we're not going to end up where we want to be, which is in heaven. And at worst, we're utterly deceived and will deceive others with our wrong belief system. It's like me going to the dentist and, laying back on the chair, and this day the man comes out with a big drill and he says, oh yeah, my friend the dentist is away. He asked me to step in. I'm a house builder. And, do I let him work on my teeth? Well, the answer is no, because he isn't qualified. He's good at building houses, but he doesn't know much about teeth. And this is the same way with the people that we follow in our spiritual quest. Many follow a leader that does not have the credentials that set them apart from any other man. And this is a very, very, very dangerous situation. Like the Bible says, the blind leads the blind into the pit. So we need to consider the issue of credibility. Now, what are some of the qualifications that people seek? So, for example, some of the qualifications, they might look at a leader and say, oh, he's a mystic, and he's got a lot of, he has incense, and he says these unusual things, and he meditates, and he wears these religious robes. The question is, does that qualify him to tell me about the spiritual realm and to lead me to God? And the answer is no, for this fact. The fact he's a sinner like me. He actually, although he might act differently, the bottom line is he's the same as me. No different. What about the leader that's a good politician? or the leader that enforces his philosophy with violence and by subduing the masses with his big sword. Is he qualified to show me the way to God? No. He might be a good leader. He may even be an excellent leader or politician, but he doesn't have the qualifications to reveal to me heaven and the spiritual realm. He's a sinner like me. What about the man that comes out of his tent and says, oh, I've met with the angel and he's told me about God and he says I'm the new leader, and so we all follow him. Oh, you're the new leader. Yes, okay, we all follow you. And you might say to me, well, that's a funny illustration. Not really, because there are millions doing this very thing right now. And I want to say this. So the man that comes out of his cave or out of anywhere and says, oh, God spoke to me and I had a vision, that doesn't qualify him. That doesn't give him credentials to show me God. And I would say that the foolish man would follow such a one. Just like laying back in the dentist's chair, the foolish man would let the house builder drill into my mouth. No one would do that. So the question I ask is, why do multitudes follow an unqualified leader that at the end of the day, he's no different than anybody else? And this goes to the root of the matter, the most important pinnacle point of the credentials and the qualifications of the one we're following. Okay? So do they have credibility? Do they have credibility? Are they essentially different than other men? Now let me read you a verse. I forgot to do that, and I'm going to read you a verse now. In Romans chapter 1, verses 3, 4, and 5. So concerning his Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of God, with power according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead. Now the summary of those verses is to say that Christ has credentials that set him apart from others. And if we are to know God, and if we're to be saved, and if we're to go to heaven, we need a qualified leader that is has the credentials and the credibility to show me these things. All right? So what are the credentials of Jesus Christ? Why is he different than any other religious leader? The leaders of Buddhism or Islam or any of these world religions. Why is Jesus Christ different? What are his credentials? Well, let's go into a few of them here. Number one, his prophetic expectation. Jesus Christ entered the world with a prophetic expectation. In other words, God had spoken to the Jewish nation that he would send Yahweh, he would send the Messiah, the one that would show them the way to God and would provide the way to God through an atonement. So even before Jesus Christ was born on this earth, there were prophecies that said where he would be born, how he would be born, all the credentials of the sort of life he would live, so that when this person lived their life, we would look at them and say, oh, this is the one from God. The Bible said that he would be born in Bethlehem in Micah 5:2. The Bible said he would have a healing ministry in Matthew 8:17. The Bible said he would enter Jerusalem on a donkey in Zechariah 9:9. The Bible said he'd be pierced and crucified in his hands and feet in Psalm 22. The Bible said that even at his crucifixions, the soldiers would play with the dice for his clothing. The Bible said that his bones would not be broken, even though it was the custom to break the bones of the crucified victim. And I can go on, and it has been said that there are up to 300 prophecies that the person of Jesus Christ fulfilled concerning every detail of his life. And they weren't vague prophecies. They were very poignant and very specific, so that we would know that this is the one sent from God. A prophetic expectation. Jesus didn't have to come and say, I'm the one, believe me, I'm the one from God. He said, my works attest to me, my healing ministry. And even Jesus Christ, apart from just fulfilling prophecy, he also prophesied many things concerning his own life, concerning the future of the Jews and of other men. What about the historicity of Jesus Christ? Now, let me just backtrack a little bit on this. We can say anything. We can say, oh, Jesus didn't die on the cross. Someone took his place at the last minute. We can say, oh, Jesus didn't really exist. We can say, oh, Jesus was in the tomb, but he managed to open the tomb and crawl out of the tomb. Now, we can say all these things. We can say whatever we want. And many of the religions say these contentions to deny the authenticity of the Son of God. But I want to say this. Do they agree with the historical testimony of Jesus Christ? And this is the reality of history. You know, not one man won't witness all the events of history unless we've lived for 6,000 years. Did you live for 6,000 years? No, me neither. 70, maybe 70 or 80. So we need methods to evaluate and authenticate historical events. And the historians have such methods, and lots of those rely on literary material and eyewitness material and all these things. And when we use those criteria to examine the authenticity of Jesus Christ, we find that there's ample historicity concerning the person of Christ. We have historians of his day, Tacitus and Josephus. Let me read a little quote. This is what Josephus says. So Josephus was a Jewish historian, AD 17 to 100, born and educated in Jerusalem, a general in the Jewish army. And this is what he said. There was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if he be lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works. He was Christ. Pilate, in the suggestion of the principal men among us, condemned him to the cross. He appeared to his followers alive again the third day. And it isn't merely the record of someone like Josephus. There's Tacitus, there's Eusebius, there are all the eyewitnesses who attest to the historicity of the person of Christ. So someone that says he didn't die on the cross, they are ignoring the historical testimony that saw him on the cross. Someone that said he crawled out of the tomb after being almost, crucified and proclaimed to be dead by the Roman centurion, they're missing the historical eyewitness account of his resurrected appearance, which wasn't just a fleeting resurrection. Here I am, guys, and then he's gone. He appeared for 40 days. In all diverse situations, he appeared to his enemies, to his friends, to his disciples, to all the different groups of people. And that historicity is enough to close the mouths of all these lies, which do not have their basis in historical fact. You can say anything, but if it doesn't line up with a historical fact, it has no credibility. And that's what the cheap tricks that some people may use to discredit the authenticity of Jesus Christ. So his historicity is quite established. Number 3, his unique life and birth. He had a unique birth, born of a virgin. And that's, you say, well, I don't accept that. Well, the people of his day accepted it, and it was written long ago that would be the case in Isaiah 7:14. But nonetheless, he had a unique life. He performed 35 notable miracles in the Gospels. These are eyewitness accounts. And by the way, the 35 is just the tip of the iceberg, because in many cases it says, and he healed many others. So in reality, he performed hundreds. But nonetheless, he healed the blind, he healed the leper, he healed the lame man. In Matthew 5, he healed the man with the withered hand. In Matthew 9, the woman with the issue of blood, he healed her. And in John 9, the man who was born blind. And all these healings took place that could not be confined to mere tricks, because they were in diverse settings and before even the enemies of Christ, who would love to discredit them, but they couldn't. In Matthew 8:17, it said that the Messiah would have a healing ministry. And what else can we say about Jesus Christ? He had a unique life. He fulfilled prophecy. He was generally a holy man. You know, there are other religions that say their leader was impeccable. But when you study the Historicity, you find that their leader was a violent person that was no different than any carnal man with a big sword. He was no different than any one of us in our carnality. But Jesus Christ, to the ones that lived with him, and specifically those that walked with him for those 3.5 years, he was truly a holy man. He didn't sin. He didn't lust after women. He didn't swear. He wasn't violent like other leaders. He didn't cut off people's heads or any of these things. These are the credentials that set this person apart. Now, in our final part here, of course, the unique life, but of course, beyond all of that is his unique end. And that unique end, that he was crucified on a Roman cross, and that was prophesied in Psalm 22. And it was also prophesied in Psalm 16 that he would rise from the dead and wouldn't be see corruption in his body, which occurs on the 4th day. So we have the reality of the resurrection, and again there's ample historicity of this. And to those that say, oh, he didn't really die and he crawled out of the tomb and he pushed away the stone and he managed to appear before people, this is a bit of a non-starter. Seriously, to the thinking man, you could laugh at that argument. Because how can a man that's been brutally beaten, thrust through with a sword, crucified before eyewitnesses, how is he possibly going to appear in full and complete health? Not for 1 day, not for 2 days, but for 40 days in perfect health. This is not possible. Even in today's modern society, with all of the technology and the medical advances, we couldn't treat someone that had undergone those things to make them appear for 40 days in full health. So the reality is the historicity of the resurrection of Jesus Christ make this person not only unique, but those proofs lead ultimate credibility to his identity. He said he was the Christ. His works proved he was the Christ. The prophecies he fulfilled proved he was the Christ. Did others raise from the dead? No. Did others fulfill prophecy? No. And because of the credibility of Jesus Christ, which gives him his uniqueness, he alone is in a unique position to tell us about the spiritual realm and about the afterlife and about heaven and about how to get there. And in reality, he alone is the one that's able to furnish a way for men and women to go to that perfect place. And of course, this is why he came. He came to make a way through the atonement, through the cross, through that amazing salvation that he would offer. So I'm going to finish here with this, but let me say, the question was, is Jesus Christ different than others? Is Jesus Christ unique? And I think to the honest inquirer, there's no doubt in the historicity, in the prophetic accuracy, in the practical reality of the life of this person that lived in time and space, that this man, who indeed was also God, the God-man, is indeed different than all others. He alone provides a leader that can give us the way to salvation and can show us the way to God the Father. And that's exactly what Jesus Christ came to do, to make a way and to show us the way to God the Father, that all that humble their heart to believe the truth can enter into this salvation and can be part of God's amazing kingdom. All right, so I'm going to finish there, but I want to finish by saying, obviously, this is a brief overview, and I would love to say so much more. I've said a lot in my book Apologia, in my book Apocalypsis, as well as Rightly Dividing the Word. And if you take time to look at those and to buy them on Amazon, Mark Goody on Amazon, then I think you'll find a lot deeper answers in those books. Okay, but we're going to finish here. May God bless you, and I want to wish you Godspeed. This is Pastor Mark Goody closing our session number 6. So may the Lord be with you in the morning, in the daytime, in the evening, and may he bless you on every side. So thank you very much for listening. Please tune into the next edition of The Word Now. This is Pastor Mark Goody signing off and saying goodbye, Godspeed.